see how many things I could get stuck in my hair.
Yeah.
Nice.
We have a true show and tell there. Welcome everybody. This is FMA discussion 119, and tonight's episode is going to be more theme based, which I'll get into. And I'm Dean Franco, and I'm here with three women. So I'm either stupid or glutton for punishment. So anyhow, again, folks, this is going to be more theme oriented in that we're not really going to be going through each individual's guest here as far as their journey and what they've done up to this point, but rather this is going to be a collective effort to view the lens of women's self-defense, and more so from the context of those who do not train consistently and all that, and how we can improve upon the current industry and all that. So that's kind of where to go with tonight. This is new territory. So we're going to just see how it goes and all that. And we're going to look at a different couple lenses. But again, I just want everybody to know we're not going from the attacking the current industry. I mean, obviously, I think they have their best intentions and all that. So I don't want that to be viewed as that, but more or less, how can we improve upon, the current methodology industry and what they're showcasing, and whatever, how long it goes. Most of them are a few hours and all that. So again, if you're jumping in, tell us where you're watching from, hit that like button, and we're going to get started. So again, I want to thank you guys for coming on. I know each one of you have been on in the past, but for those who maybe are watching that didn't see your episode, I just thought it'd be if we could just get a quick, brief intro to each and one of you, and just let the community know basically your association within the FMA community. So why don't we start with Trish?
Hi, I'm from Vancouver, Canada. FMA started, I had some clients that were introducing me to Filipino martial arts. I teach kettlebells, and I also train law enforcement applicants to help them pass their physical tests. So through that industry, I've met a lot of great martial artists, and they got me into FMA. So, and then building on from there, teaching self-defense and self-protection workshops to civilians. Nothing tactical with actual department members. They have their own divisions for that, but I touch on the civilian aspect of it.
Hey, Whitney.
Yes, sir.
Tell us.
So I got introduced to Filipino martial arts. I think I said this in my previous interview, but I always watched Highlander with my dad and a lot of action movies, and I wanted desperately to either be Highlander or to be a straight ninja. So I'd always been I'm serious, right? You just gotta be honest. So I've always been very interested in blade and bladed weapons. And then in the military, I do carry a blade in my pocket every day. And we also have things that we carry, like an asp when I'm deployed. And so really just wanting to understand how to utilize that properly, a little bit more proficiently, either when I'm on duty or when I'm off duty as a mother, carrying a knife or carrying a weapon with me, really wanting to get into that. And so I found myself in Monterey, California, right near Stockton, and got introduced to Stockton Multi-Style Eskrima, and that is the program that I've really advanced through.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, Tuhon Arrlene.
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Arrlene, and I train Bikini Tricia Kali here at Maryland, United States. And I'm teaching private classes. So, yeah.
Okay, no, thank you all. Again, just for those maybe who haven't seen your individual episodes. And folks, if you have not, I highly recommend you should go back and check in each one of them out. Really good interviews, you know what I mean? So, all right. So again, for those who maybe missed the intro, again, we're going to look at the women's self-defense, but we're really going to zero on the lens of women who don't have enough time or can't, dedicate themselves to active training, regardless of discipline. So we're going to go from the context of those who want it, but what is the best for them based on that context? So I don't want to get this confused where we're going from the perspective of women who train all the time. No, this is from those who can't or just don't want to, but yet they want something that they can have that will be effective, God forbid, if they were to get attacked. And we're going to look at that, and then we're going to identify some stuff from different systems, get their input, and I'm going to kind of share something I got kind of in the works with Brian Rodriguez making some of the weapons, which have been nothing but spectacular, and all that, and kind of see what we can kind of bring together with their input. Because the other thing too is I firmly believe that input needs to come from that community, them. You know, I mean, we can sit back here all day and just tell them what they should and shouldn't do, but we have to see their comfort level, what they're willing to carry, what they're willing to use, what they're willing to do. And so I think a big part of this really we need input from them. And that's kind of the direction we're going to do tonight. Again, this is new territory. I've never done this before. So we're going to just see where it goes. So, all right. So what I thought we would do first, okay, is kind of identify the current status quo. And, you know, I'm sure you guys have been to one another or helped teach one, you know, I'm sure. And generally speaking, what seems to take place, again, they cover some kind of pre-text, you know, info as far as, you know, the do's and do nots, where to go, be aware, your surroundings and all that. And then they kind of more or less get into the gross movements, you know, elbows, knees, what have you, obviously the groin shots and what have you. But, you know, more and more I study this, I just think there could be improvements. And, you know, again, as I mentioned, I don't really want to, I'm not attacking the industry. I really don't. I believe they have their best intentions. They're putting their best foot forward. You're a creature of habit. If this was what it was given to you, you're going to go with it without maybe not looking for changes or how to improve upon status quo and all that. So I want to get each of your input. And what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of go round robin just so, you know, everybody gets a first crack, so to speak. So what do you, to Arrlene, you know, what's your, you know, and this, you guys can be brief with this too. What do you see? What's your opinion on the kind of the status quo, what we're seeing for women's self-defense?
I think for me, the ones that I'm seeing should come from a woman's perspective as well. Because sometimes there are certain techniques where I think it's coming from a realistic view of a person who's male and not really from a woman. So hopefully we can improve that and start tackling that. And then there are certain things too, like even in the weapons themselves, you don't really see much where it's something we can carry. Of course, you have your standard knives and all that, but thanks to Brian, and I think we're gonna get to that too.
Sure.
We have those examples in here, and I think that's really good for us to start discussing as well. You know, just the gist would be, yeah, it's there's something lacking in there, and I think we cannot only be stuck in the situational awareness portion. We really need to be able to implement the techniques that's being shared out there.
Okay, no, thank you. Whitney, what do you have to say with the current industry and all that? Your thoughts?
Yes, sir. And I should have said this earlier, but first and foremost, I am speaking from a personal view. Even though I'm military, I am not representing the military. I'm not here as an Army rep. I am strictly here as an individual from my own personal experience and from my FMA lens. So that's important to know. So with that, I kind of want to point out some of the good things that we see. I do like the fact that they start with an attempt at mindset. So we talk about be aware, know your surroundings, kind of think about what you're going to do. In that lane, I believe that we need to take it one step further. It's one thing to be aware, which is good. It's an excellent place to start. I think that we also need to start discussing your mental ability and readiness to use the weapons that we're going to discuss today. Some of the weapons from Brian are excellent, but they are very personal, violent, blunt force weapons that if a female or a male, anyone who doesn't train, isn't ready to use those weapons mentally, there's no way I can teach them to physically use them. So I think that we need to sort of take it to the next step for that beginning mental stage. And then the gross motor movement, right? You mentioned that. That is in a lot of self-defense classes, and I believe in it. I believe in gross motor movement. It doesn't make sense to teach very complicated techniques to a beginner who doesn't have a lot of time to train. With that said, I think that there needs to be some addition of here's a gross motor movement. Here's how you follow through and finish that movement. It seems that we teach one movement and then we stop. And we teach another movement and we stop. To where that is not where the fight is going to end. And that doesn't help to mentally prepare an individual to actually be in a very physically violent, scary fight.
Excellent. There are a couple of great things you point out there. Yeah, and I'm a fan of the gross movement. They have to be gross movements. I mean, the fine motor skills are going to go out the window with stress coming down the pipeline. It's just, yeah. I mean, and that goes for males too, incidentally. So Trish, of course, last but not least, your thoughts.
Yeah, excellent points raised by Tuhon, Arrlene, and Whitney. Talking about the status quo, and what I'm seeing just in my little area of the world, in my little section on social media, is there's a growing trend for, especially this, there's a women, like Vancouver women, girls ask, and they ask all these questions. And what's happening is, what's the best weapon I can carry to defend myself and things. And all of these people are giving answers, but there's no education and there's no follow-up as to, okay, well, there's a weapon. How do you use it? And I've actually gone online and said, you have this self-defense keychain, and it's not a keychain. It's got 8 different things on it, including a lip balm holder that they're supposed to carry, this big, huge, fluffy pink ball of stuff. And it does have a pocket stick, and it does have some pepper spray, but the rest of it is fluff. I said, how are you supposed to use that? Are you actually giving instructions? If you're selling this to these girls, because I can see that there's a lot of girls that are becoming entrepreneurial and they want to make some money, jump on a trend. There's some self-defense weapons that I can sell and color them pink, and boom, they're going to get sold. But what I would like to see is education behind that as to the mindset, of course, but how to use it and to practice with it. It's one thing to buy something, it's cute, I read the directions, I put it in my purse, and then people are going to forget about it until all of a sudden, oh my God, I've got pepper spray somewhere down here. And then by then it's too late.
Yeah.
So I would like to see more education along with the realities of what's necessary when an attack happens. And a lot of that is the mindset and gross motor movements, not something that's going to involve extremely intricate techniques.
No, I thought bravo to every one of you. So with me saying bravo, does that mean I'm safe for the rest of the interview? Like you guys, no, you guys are not going to attack me? Or I have to be honest, folks that are watching. Normally, I'm not nervous at all doing these interviews. I just click into somebody's rhythm, their personality. That's why I do test runs and all that. Because then I'll just by the test run, I know how to click in. I'll figure you out. I'll know how to dial in, and whether you're somebody that you're going to give long-winded answers and all that. But I just kind of get a sense. But I have to say, today I was a little nervous, man. So with that being said, we're gonna go back. I do want to we got a bunch of people watching. Wow. I'm telling you, man, you get some women on there and everybody comes out. All right,
actually, Anna made a good point about so many weapons are impossible to carry with women's clothing. And that's something to take into account as well, because what you're wearing, you're going to be walking around in high heels. Well, if you're a kicker, you better learn how to kick in high heels. I mean, you need to learn.
I want to think about. All right, we got Felix from Texas. We got Eric from Florida. Oh my God, this thing is really going to Lieutenant Clan. Julius. John Rister, Paul, Brian Rodriguez, the man of the hour, Guru Tom from England, Maestro Alvin from California, and Jason Ward from Canada, and Guru Terry, there, Whitney, and we got Maestro Ronnie, hey, Guru Kajay, and Anna, Mario, Jessa, my gosh, wow. Paulo, and got Maestro Frank, MJ Calaman. Okay, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, apologies. Okay. So, all right. Thank you for the intro. I thought you guys did a phenomenal job, like identifying some of the stuff with the current industry and all that. So here's kind of where I want to go. And again, folks are watching. This is new to all of us. So I'm kind of want to start with a funnel like this, and then kind of go down into what I think would be good, obviously with your guys' input. So the first part of the funnel I want to start with is, I want to identify key systems, but from those systems, like key techniques. For example, Thai boxing. Obviously, I'm sure you guys are going to say knees and elbows. Okay. All right. So from a woman who trains all the time, like you guys who are active, what do you think are the key elements to pull from different systems? Now, for example, from the different systems, let's look at from the JKD perspective. Okay, being a JKD guy, even though I don't do it anymore, but kicking, strike, hitting, clinch, or / trapping range, takedown. So let's reverse the order here. Let's start with Trish. So Trish, pick one area from one of those ranges and give me a couple things that you think are quintessential for a women's self-defense program from the lens that they do train. And then we're going to quickly go in for those who don't train. And and the point of this is going to be this, basically what I want to illustrate is how the funnel that may start like this gets like this for those who don't train and don't have the time. So I think we need to address this first to illustrate the funnel. So Trish, what say you?
I think I'll talk more about when the attacker is already in range, so like medium to close range. And what I like to emphasize with my students is their ability to keep a strong and stable core and to be able to develop power. Because you can practice strikes all you want with your hands on Bob or whoever, but if you don't have power behind those strikes, they're useless. They're just fancy. So and whatever, and that could be, and you can develop power and you can develop strength in any medium, whether you're a judoka or if you do taekwondo or if you're in pikiti, you can develop power and strength in your strikes and your hits. But it's easy to do any kind of martial art without any of that. And if you don't learn that, nothing is going to be effective. It's just a show.
There's not going to be any substance of weight coming behind or leverage or anything like that from a boxing perspective, or bringing your knee up and putting that hip into absolutely. Whitney, we'll go kind of clockwise this time. So Whitney, pick up. So she kind of was focusing on the close range. Pick anything, ground or more from long striking. Like, let's go with empty hand, I guess. So what say you?
Okay. I think one of the most important things in self-defense, and I say self-defense because whether you're a woman or a man, if you don't train, it's kind of going to be the same curriculum that you're going to need, is long range, right? So Lagomano type range. If you can avoid getting into a short range, medium range, clinch type of fight, that is your first step, right? Actually, it's your second. First step is run. Absolutely evade, run, get away. If you cannot, try to stay at Lagomano range. And we can teach some of those large X's, some of those strikes that are gross motor movement, that are easy to do when your parasympathetic brain turns off and you're in fight or flight. But maintaining that range as long and as much as possible, I think, is the first thing to teach if you have to fight. And it sort of devolves. If you cannot maintain long range, this is what it looks like at medium range. Try to get back to long range, try to evade and escape. And it all needs to be centered around that. I don't think we need to be teaching anyone who doesn't have the time to train often to stand and fight, because you're going to lose that.
And I'm definitely going to showcase that when we get further down, how that's going to be the last place for them to be, because they're just right. To Arrlene.
before I answer that, I'm just gonna mention that I think it's not only for people who are training a lot, but I would probably say the same thing for people who are not training a lot. Is that for me would be a long range assessment, definitely of the situation, so that you can decide where your positioning will be if possible. And then from there, your positioning can be depending on or in relation to the space you're moving in, or your body positioning, which is your own internal system. Because from there, if you know your positioning, not only are you able to run or escape if you need to, but if you do need to do power, like what Tricia was also talking about, you're able to generate that power whenever you're in a good body positioning.
Okay, no, no, all right. So again, one of the common themes of you guys, which, and of course, nobody can argue that, is that obviously the more distance you have, the less likely, you getting thrown to the ground, you getting picked up and carried away to a second location. I mean, all terrible stuff, of course. However, though, the one thing, one range I want to bring up, which we didn't cover, God forbid if you got knocked down, I think it's imperative that females, again, of course, have long guard from BJJ. In other words, not just falling, how to fall without tucking your chin, slapping out the whole 9 yards, but that element of long guard, keeping your legs between you and the person, because man, if you don't have that and you fall to the ground and they're able to get past your legs, they're done. I mean, you're done. I mean, even for guys, you see it any given Friday or Saturday night when MMA, when they get past the legs, they're in mount, and usually, you know what I mean? So for a woman, it's going to even be more catastrophic. So I think there's some key ground pieces, that are just essential, and long guard really stands out to me, assuming, again, how to fall. But good. All right. Okay, now I want to go where I think the funnel is going to start to reduce and all that. And where now we're going to take the same kind of questionnaire and all that, and the same identifications. I mean, the same process of identification. They won't be the same, maybe. But for now, for the women who cannot contribute time to their training, who don't have the time or what have you, but yet have a really genuine interest in knowing, God forbid, if they would be attacked and all that. And before we get into weapons, because we're going to tie the weapons in, but just key pieces: long, kind of middle, clinch, ground. If we can look at that lens, if that helps. So let's start with Whitney. So again, we're going to address it kind of the same format, but the context being different now. Women now who don't train, key pieces.
So you asking, what do women who don't have the time to train need to know to defend themselves?
Right, gotcha. Like in other words, they come to this program, which I'm gonna illuminate when we get past this and all that with your guys' input. So women who don't, like, what do you think would be the key ingredients that they would need? Those who can't train, those who don't have time to generate power, those that don't have time to have a snap kick up to the groin, those who don't have enough time to generate power on a right hand cross, those who don't have time to get from a clinch and really be able to jockey the neck around and throw knees and elbows and all that. I mean, key things for the woman who doesn't have time for that.
Okay. First and foremost, I want to address, if someone has absolutely no time, zero time to train, what I tell them is most likely not going to help. My 1-day seminar or my 1 weekend seminar, I'm going to make sure that women leave with a couple of pieces that are going to make them better than when they walked in. However, they have to at least go home, absorb it, maybe go over it once or twice again, because if someone has zero time to train, they're going to lose all the information I give them. So with that caveat, someone who has, I will say, limited time to practice what I show them, is how I'm going to put it. I think that they need a couple of things. One, it has to start with the mindset. And I know I'm repeating myself, but I mean, these women or these individuals absolutely have to be ready and willing to get in this very personal fight for your life. And you don't really know if you're willing to do that until you get there. But if you can sit down and visualize it and talk through it and at least have 1 or 2 options for different situations, you feel a little bit more prepared. It will make them feel a little bit more willing and able to do that. Secondly, everything that I teach is everything that I teach you is in order for you to evade and escape. Nothing that I'm teaching you is for you to stand and fight for any longer than you absolutely have to. If you cannot evade because you're defending your children or your family or your tribe, then I'm going to teach you what you can do for blocks and submissions. That's the first thing I'm going to teach is gross motor blocks. How do I prevent from getting knocked out, grabbed, and taken? How do I control the fight or the fighter? And how do I get away from that? So again, gross motor movements, double arm blocks to some sort of control of an arm or a weapon or an appendage so that you can then get something to do something. Secondly would be, if you can, teaching them to get around to the back if they can't get away. And then really trying to maintain that log hermano. And if you cannot, and you have to be in someone's workspace, what are 1 or 2 things, 1 or 2 moves that I can practice over and over and over that are going to serve me well in almost any situation?
Okay.
So
You're somewhat validating where I'm going to get to.
Oh, great.
I'm going to have the punchline. No, I'm going to have the punchline when we're done, but you're taking me where I want to go.
Excellent.
All right. To Arrlene, what say you?
I agree with Whitney. I would also go for mindset. Definitely a part of that would include identifying different kinds of attackers, what their psychology is, so that if ever they're in an interview stance or phase, the woman can identify that and say, this is not good, I need to get out of here. Sometimes I think that's what's lacking, is for a woman to really identify if she's in a bad situation or not. And then as for techniques, if I will choose, that would be getting out of the attack line. So I'll tell them what the inside line is, the outside line is, and what an attack line looks like, them to get out of the line. And then I will also show them the basic strikes, just some basic angles of strikes. That way they will at least know how to move their arms while they're moving out of the line. Definitely getting to the back also would include that. I agree with everything she said. So I think in addition to that, that's what I would put in the program.
Okay. Last but not least, Trish.
I love you ladies. We have such similar mindsets. So I don't want to repeat the same thing, but I mean, one thing that I really try to get from my students, especially because most of them that come to the street or the civilian self-defense, is they don't train. They don't have, maybe they don't have physical strength. Maybe they're really small. But I try to put it in a context. It's like, okay, that guy there is going to try and take your kids and do terrible things to them. What are you going to do about it? So I tell them they got to dig deep and bring out the inner bitch, and do not let losing be an option. So again, that's the mindset, but be prepared not to kind of poke and prod and touch, but you tickle the back of his brain with your thumb through his eye. So be prepared to do some horrible damage, but it's your life or theirs. So just try to bring out that rage, that tiger, and not be afraid to use it, because women, we're nurturing, we want to help. It's our natural instinct to trust, but at some point you have to listen to your instinct, and if something is off, then you got to act on it and be prepared to act on it. So, I mean, in addition to what the others have said.
Yeah, no. Okay. You guys validate everything I'm going with this. Do you notice you guys were clearly able to identify clear things when I said from the women's perspective of those who train? Okay. It was easy, or easier. Okay. However, for the women who don't have time and all that, it was much more challenging to identify and all that. And I think and there's nothing wrong with that. I just think it's the case, which means to where I'm going with this. I mean, good. I mean, like Brian just mentioned about primal. I totally agree with you like that. There has to be a primal protective instinct, especially if you have loved ones. Somebody says keep it long range. Absolutely. The more the distance, the safer you're going to be. Also, when we get to weapons, the more the distance, the ability to be able to pull this out or whatever you have out to show a deterrence, and they might just move on to something else. You might not be worth it. And all that. So I think there's all good things in there. Okay. So now where I want to go, now that we're kind of here, so to speak, is I want to go where we're going to kind of introduce kind of from weapons now, where previous two lenses we were talking about, we weren't introducing weapons. So the whole thing with the weapons is, and again, this is where I think your guys' input is critical. And because it's very easy for us to say like, well, you just pull out a weapon and do what you got to do. However, though, there could be a comfort level. You know what I mean? Like, oh, maybe they're not comfortable carrying it. Maybe they wouldn't be comfortable using it and all that. So I think that's going to be a big component of this. All right. So I want to know. So let's tackle this from the perspective of like, first of all, identify weapons. Obviously, the best equalizer, handgun. Okay. All right, but now we're looking at licensing. We're looking at cost. We're looking at, not just, cheap cost, mind you, and all that. So, which is why I'm obviously not devaluing that. That's obviously the best, but I want to just kind of go from like maybe knife down, knowing that the gun quintessential and all that, but just the cost involved, training, license, ammunition, all the above. So starting with the knife, okay, let's start with let's go back to Trish. All right, so Trish, starting with the knife, what is your, before we identify, like if that should be a key component in this, women's self-defense, just for surface level, like what do you think as far as knife is concerned and maybe conversation and all that, how was it well received, like the women you've talked to in the past? Was there some apprehension? Like just any feedback?
Most of the women that come to mind don't even own knives. So, I think myself, I only started carrying a knife maybe 5 years ago. I was very apprehensive to learn. I have utmost respect for the blade, and I have a lot of blades that I don't carry because I don't feel comfortable, because I don't feel proficient in them. So I want to be comfortable in deploying and using, but also preparation for the consequences, legal and psychological afterwards. So I do not pull out the knife as a topic of self-defense in my workshops at the basic level, because none of them are ready for it. And I still consider myself a very novice student in any bladed art. And it's an honor to be in this forum and in discussion and in the company of these ladies, because I'm learning a lot every time I speak with them. So I think that the blade needs to be respected. It needs to be given its time in training and deploying and seeing the devastation that it can affect.
No doubt, no doubt. Tuhon, Arrlene, your thoughts?
I don't teach knives to people who will tell me they don't have time to train. There's just no point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't even do women's self-defense seminars. I don't. I've tried it
Oh
before.
yeah.
I tried it before, and
Mm.
I really had a bad experience. Nobody wants to train, and they want an easy fix. So it's funny because
Yeah.
sometimes the teachers or school owners are trying to figure out what to do, right? But in my experience, nobody wants to train. There's very few women who does that. And right now I do have
Mm.
women students, but they're all very committed. Even if I have someone who has no training experience whatsoever, but they are committed to their training. I see them regularly, and from there we go through a process. So I mean, that's my take with that. I'm not it's a big responsibility. Just because the knife is what they call an equalizer, I mean, it really depends. Just like with the gun, I mean, you buy something, you do all the certification whatsoever, but you have to shoot regularly for you to
Yeah,
actually
be
fix.
proficient.
Yeah,
Sure,
it's not
sure.
easy. Any of these weapons are not easy. The movements, the concepts are easy, but the skill development takes time.
Yeah, no, which is why we're leaning towards we're to get to is the more we're comfort level. So, Whitney, what say you?
Well, I feel like I could say no comment and it would be covered. However, yeah, if someone doesn't have time to train, I'm not going to teach them much of anything. For sure, not going to hand them a blade because they are more likely to get it taken from them and used on them than they are to be helped by it.
Yeah.
But I will pretend for a minute, just for the sake of argument and discussion, that a woman comes in and she's straight off the streets, never trained, and she says, I'm willing. First and foremost, I'm going to have a very honest discussion with her. I'm not going to say, here is my criteria. Here is what Stockton multi-style looks like. Here is the other, stuff that I've trained, Kali, yada, yada. And this is what I'm going to give you. I'm going to ask that individual, why are you here? What are you seeking? What is your end state? And then I am going to train to results based. Okay. You want this effect. Okay. And then we'll tailor it to that effect. Maybe the knife is not it, but they think it is. So I really need to know what effect they need to develop a training plan for what I can give them and what I think is safe to give them. Because sometimes when you train people, they leave day 1, day 2, and they think they can take on anybody. And they just absolutely cannot. So you don't want to waste that motivation, but you don't want to let them leave thinking that they are now untouchable. And if you just hand someone a knife, sometimes they think that.
Okay, no, you guys, again, you're validating kind of where I'm going with this because I think I totally agree. I think women, it's just not going to be like kind of instantaneous where they're just going to be comfortable handling a knife. And the ones that they do, you kind of, without training, you kind of have to kind of wonder and question because it's a really huge responsibility giving like knife training to people.
And
Like, you can't just choose anybody. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, sure, I'll show you some things. You know what I mean? Like, it's a huge responsibility, which is why, again, you'll see where I'm going with this. I'm sorry, you had a question, Arrlene?
Yeah, no, and if I may add, the violence that we're tackling here is a big range. From a stranger who's just trying to get something, from someone who's been watching you for many months already and studying you, from someone who you know and someone who you're committed to, and somebody you've known for many, many years. And so just with that huge range of types of violence, we can't tackle all that to one person in a very short amount of time. I'm not even talking about the techniques yet. We're just really talking about what are the types of violence that a woman may have to go through. I mean, even males, honestly, this is something that may go through as well, but I'm just gonna, focus on women right now. So yeah, this is a huge thing. This is it's no one technique that would be a key to everything. It's really if you have the mindset for it, you know how to assess so that you can identify is this dangerous or not. And then you have certain things, some tools, physical tools that you can do with your body so that you can get away with it. And then the external tools that are objects that's not connected to your body that you need to learn how to become, that it needs to be a part of yourself, right? And that takes time. I mean, even with a person, with a friend, you need to take time to be close to that person, right? How much more an inanimate object that's not really a part of you, and somehow you need to make a connection with this thing. So, just saying.
Yeah, no. I think you guys have brought nothing but valid points. Whitney.
So something else that even if we get past all of these hurdles, which is going to take a lot of time, a lot of training, a lot of very specific training to different people, and a lot of commitment from the individual that comes in, male or female. If we get past all of these hurdles, we then have, how is this individual going to carry and deploy, we're talking about the knife now, this knife. And what type of knife do you train them with? Is it a straight blade? Is it a folder? Is it a switch? Like, what is it? What effect do they want? What blade
and we haven't even got to drawing or being efficient at drawing or flipping it out. This is why, again, you guys are, indirectly, or actually I should say directly, are validating everything where I'm kind of going to.
So I think people think the knife is going to be, I don't have to carry a gun, but I can have a weapon and I can feel safe. And I think that part of that mental mindset is really sitting them down and showing them the broad swath of what that really means and looks like, and kind of really walking that movie, I've seen people knife fight, I can do it mentality back.
No, that false, right? That theatrical thing that they're just going to be. No, I agree with all you guys. I'm not saying knife's the answer. And for basically everything you guys just mentioned. However, if they were willing to put the time in, I think knife then is an excellent choice and all that. But the key component is obviously that they're well-minded, they're willing to put the time in, they're vested. And again, so yes, I agree, which is why I want to get to what kind of the Brian's made. That's, you know, some of the weapons he made that you guys, except for Trish, but Trish has something similar. But anyhow, because I agree, again, there's so much parameters around, you know, giving anybody for that matter knife training. You know what I mean? Let alone women, where A, where they're going to keep it. B, is it going to be on the bottom of their pocketbook among 50 other things? C, have they practiced drawing it? C, if it's a folder, have they practiced unflipping it and deploying it, and within a second to have it ready and articulated with, you know, all that. So again, I'm with you all in all that, and this is kind of where I'm going to that. In absence of what we just mentioned and all that, I think some of these makeshift things where, you know, that Brian made, I think are a better solution and all that. But this is, you know, again, the reason why I'm doing this, I'm not saying, you know, that I have all the answers. I have ideas where I'm going with this, and obviously getting input from you guys. But this is a broad thing to tackle. I mean, this is and all that. And the reason being is, when I look at the current industry, just to be, you know, repeat from the beginning, those who have or just came in later, whatever, is that again, we're not attacking the current industry methodology and what they do, but I just feel perhaps there's just a better way to go about it, you know, and all that. And that's one of the things we're trying to achieve here. Not so much by the end of this program, we're going to have something solidified. That's not where we're going with this. And the other key element, you guys have to be, I think it's imperative that you guys are part of it. I think you guys need to be part of it. Like, you know, a lot of it needs to come from you, you know? So with that being said, let's move on. Okay. You guys, I mean, Trish, you got a pretty good idea of what Brian made and all that, and so like that. So let's where are we at? I just want to make sure I lost track of who we started with before. So let's. I tell you what, let's go with. Trish. Okay.
I don't even have Brian's things. Do you want to demonstrate? Do you want to show them off? Like, are we going there?
Yeah. Okay. Good point.
Oh,
Let's
we're moving on.
Trish,
may I say something for the keys, Guru Dean?
Sure.
Because I know we're talking about specific things, right? Which are very helpful actually. Hearing their insights as well, but also that as a paradigm, I'm into paradigms, I guess, because sometimes things are hard to discuss. But for me, in my head, it's really the program, which is, you know, of course, consisting of the instructor and the curriculum, and then the environment of where you're offering this opportunity to learn, and then the student per se. I know we're talking about a lot about in discussions about how to improve the classes or add sparring and all that, but on the women's side, I'm just gonna probably have to say it, women need to go and train. They need to enroll, they need to realize that they need this, because even if you have the correct program and the right instructor and you have this, you know, like perfect thing going on, if the females are not realizing this, then I think the formula is not complete. We need them to be there. Unfortunately, with violence, and what I know is that you need to be broken in. That's really the only way to really get through it, is to have an experience to where you're saying, you know what, this happened to me and this will never happen again. But unfortunately, you know, it's not always a happy ending. Some people don't have a second chance. So, you know, just putting it out there, just put that in my head.
No, I appreciate that. And again, this is a big area. And yes, in the perfect world, if they could dedicate themselves to training and with stress introduced and how to handle and negotiate stress. I mean, yeah, that would be the absolute. I totally agree with you. The perfect scenario and all that, and then identify what they really need, in the ranges, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. But but unfortunately, they're just a lot are just not going to do that. But yet, does that mean I'm just saying, like thinking out loud, I still would like to see them get something, you know what I mean, and all that. But agreed. I mean, the best world, yeah, they take charge of their journey, they're adamant, and they become very heavily involved, part of the solution, and all that. So, Whitney, you have both weapons, correct?
I do, yes.
All right. So why don't you show the folks?
Okay. First and foremost, I have the quintessential hairpin. I have it in the hair, as it is designed by Brian to be worn. And so looks fairly. Figure out which side the ring is on. Fairly easy to pull out and deploy. So I'm going to talk pros and cons of how I see it. First of all, Brian Rodriguez, beautifully made. I mean, this thing is craftsmanship at its finest. So let's start with that. Let's start cons, or what I see is could possibly be cons with this weapon. One, it is a weapon that is going to take quite a bit of force and physical violence from someone who, if we're trying to build this for someone who doesn't train, right? And I'm in that aspect. It's going to take a lot of mindset, force, and sheer will from someone who does not train to stab and bludgeon someone into submission or death. That's asking a lot from an individual who isn't as seasoned as we might be in this forum. With that said, if that could be, if that hurdle could be hurdled, jumped, moved, whatever, I like most of the design. So Brian and I have already talked. An improvement I would like to make is to add almost like a battle pin on the end of here.
Oh, something that sticks out at the end? Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So if I pull this out of here, I have almost the pocket stick, which is something we use in our system. I've got a nice, good grip. It's not going anywhere. My hand's not going to slide down. And I can do these very large, protect myself, gross motor, X hits, stabs and slashes to the collarbone, the neck, the eyes, all of the motor sensitive areas. I like that. What I want the sharpened battle stick on this end for, one, not even a fight, but if I am trapped in a vehicle, that I can break a window with that stick. So it's for me. I don't like to carry anything that doesn't have multiple uses. Ounces or pounds for me when I'm walking around with my kid.
Okay.
So to be able to use that for that purpose, and after I do these two strikes, that can come right back up this way. So this weapon is easily used, one grip, two motions, two directions, lethality on both ends.
Sweet.
So I like that it's very easily accessible. A lot of women have their hair up, even if they don't, it can go in a purse or a pocket. But really, I love this. I love that it goes in the hair, and then I can pull it straight out. I know where it is. One finger slides through. Even if I don't get my finger in it, I can still grab it. So I like this for a lot of reasons. My only concern is it's not a bladed weapon. It is just a pointed weapon that is going to take a lot of violence from someone who might not be ready to do that much violence on someone.
Yeah. No, yeah. If they're not the mindset, it's not going to matter what they have.
I will hold my thoughts on this until we get to it.
Sure. No, but thank you. Trish, even though you don't have it, you have something similar to it. So let's just go from the lens that
I'm just taking a look. So I've got which side. So the same material. This is actually a hairpin that a friend designed, and he's a woodworker, so he's a wood artisan.
Is it composite? Is it wood or composite?
It's straight hardwood.
Straight hardwood.
Do you know what this one is? I've had a couple of comments asking what this is. Yeah. I thought it was composite.
Maestro Alvin, it's composite. Brian made. Okay.
Trish, yours is beautiful.
It's wood. So yeah, and it's great. I love it because just the texture of it. My hair is really fine and slippery, so sometimes stuff falls out. So because it's wood, it's got a bit of texture to it. And then there's the other thing that I showed you. Actually, well, this is a cold steel. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a trident. It's got three.
Nasty.
Yeah, it's really sharp. This is really sharp.
My
so
goodness.
It's a composite. So the reason why they put the ring on there is so that it will go through airport security because it's a weapon. But if you take that ring off, it won't set off any alarms.
Is that right? So technically, if you didn't have that ring, you could go through an airport and nobody would even know.
Yeah. So,
imagine in wrong hands. Wow.
This is a textured rubber grip here.
Hmm.
So that's something for me especially is to be able to have something I can grip on, and the ring is a really nice idea because then it can stay because my hands aren't as good as they used to be. And then the other aspect that I would maybe like to see, I haven't talked to Brian about this yet, but this is it's like a chopstick, but it's for your hair. So this is just a crappy dollar store plastic thing, but it's got these, it's like ridges.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see it. Okay.
Yeah, they provide some traction, so you can do whatever you want with the end. But I've got two of them in my hair here.
My God, how many things you got to do?
I know.
They just keep coming out. It's like endless.
But I want to make sure that if I'm holding it, if I hit something, it's not going to come out or get knocked out.
Yeah. Wow, my God, that thing from Cold. And that was from the one thing you showed, that prehistoric thing. That's from Cold Steel.
Yeah. Yeah. I got another one too. This is my letter opener.
Letter opener.
It's really sharp, but then the same.
Yeah. Letter opener. Yeah, exactly.
But it's got a really sticky grip, and I can't take this. It's way too sharp. I would tear myself to shreds. Even.
What's that made out of?
Same thing. It's just like a really hard.
Wow. And where'd you get that? Cold Steel as well?
Yeah.
My God, I gotta go back on their website, man. I'm missing out. Wow.
I don't see. You know what? I don't see if it's written Cold Steel, but I saw these and I had to have them.
That one thing is unbelievable. Wow. That's incredible. Tuhon, Arrlene, what do you think? What did you think of Brian's thing there?
I like that one, Tricia, by the way, the one that you showed.
Yeah, that thing is sick. Huh?
I need that link.
It's hard to surgically repair. Now, I love it. I have a copy. I like that the ring is here for retention. I like that I can wear it because I really don't have those cool hairpins like what Tricia has. So this will be my first. I like it where it's clean over here, only because for me, when I use it, I put my thumb here as like a stopper.
Okay.
That's just how I practice. So I like it that way. It's just simple, and you can't really, no one will suspect that it's that. So yeah, that's it. Very, very simple. To me, I think this is definitely something I can carry with me a lot. I have I carry multiple anyway, like in different areas. It's good at least I have one in here.
Yeah, like if you had access, right? Sure. No, hey, multiple. I have multiple accesses. I'm just kidding.
You'll never know.
You might not be able to get to your pocket, but you can usually get to.
Yeah.
I agree with Tuhon. Having stuff in different locations. When we're deployed, we typically put tourniquets on, both of our bottom pockets and a couple on our kit because you never know what limb you're going to lose, and you might lose that tourniquet with it. So having things in multiple places is a good TTP across the board.
And Whitney, isn't that when you're wearing your uniform though, it doesn't follow the standards?
No, so I could not wear this in my uniform. No. So when I'm in uniform, I have just typical, top and pants, no kit. I usually have a knife, a folder knife. This one in my pocket. I was actually gifted this by my instructor, Pete, when I graduated. It's extremely sharp. It stays sharp. It's a Strider blade. I really enjoy it. The weight is pretty good, and it's got, that grip for if your thumb wants to be here. It's got a nice finger hold. It feels really good in the hand. It's a nice movement, and you can have it reverse grip as well. So I like it, but you're right, Tuhon. I couldn't have anything like this. So yeah, it wouldn't work for me in uniform, but out of uniform, absolutely. And so
So
that's something we could look at of.
So Brian should create something that, I mean,
Mhm.
he knows the standards, so he can probably create something that
Yeah,
uniformed
he's
personnel can use.
the guy can make anything.
So we're allowed to wear, off the top of my head, Brian, something that would be almost like a curved blade. So if we took, this is off the top of my head, so forgive me for the very rough ideas. So this that was curved, that could literally go around. We usually have a bun in the back that could kind of rotate around the bun. I don't know how you would pull it out quickly. But
That would be the thing. Yeah, like really just taking it out quickly with the curvature. I'm wondering if it would impede that, you know?
Yeah, you might be able to make a large curve so you could just pull it up.
Yeah.
And then pin it in or something like that. Brian, we could work together. And that would go for, doctors, nurses, people who are in that couldn't have this, but individuals in business attire and that type of thing as well.
Yeah. Let's go to Arrlene, because since you have it, what did you think of his next creation?
This one, I like it. I like the hold. When the two notches in here make it for everybody, because even if you have small hands, it doesn't matter because this is what matters. If you have it in here, then you're good to go. So if you have more in here, that's fine, as long as your thumb and your index finger are here. It is harder to use compared, well, you need skill to use any of these. That's the truth. But we talked about whether we hold it pakal or saksak. I can use both. Of course, there will be limitations in each because you can work in particular angles for this one. But this is very personal. I agree with Whitney when she was explaining earlier. So you really have to have the will to use this.
Yeah, this is gonna tear skin apart. I mean, yeah. Whitney, you got yours there. What say you?
Yes. First and foremost, again, another well-made piece. So I agree with you on it. Can be held either way. I think if we're talking about a very novice individual, this upwards is going to be a little bit less comfortable. But the finger grips are really good. Even though there's no grip on the handle, I don't really feel like it's going to go anywhere because of these notches.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I didn't think it was needed. Yeah.
No, but my only concern with this, Tuhon already touched on it. This is going to take a lot of violence and effort to use this weapon. And secondly, I'm not 100% sure how you would readily carry this and have it accessible. So it doesn't fold.
No, that was one of the that was one of the areas we were talking about. Like, there's a keychain in the pocketbook, and we're kind of playing around with that. But we at least wanted to introduce it and just get your guys' thoughts. But if
I have it out for myself, for someone who trains, I like it. If we're making it for individuals who don't train, I feel like this is more of a less gross motor because I've only got here. I can do this. It is going to rip skin. But a lot of people, if they don't have training, it's just this. It's just a stabbing motion that they kind of end up getting into. That's going to puncture a bit, but not very deep.
Yeah, we weren't looking from the lens of a thrusting mechanism. We were looking from the lens of more or less gross tearing, whether they're circle or your standard X. But so not so much from the point of view of indexing and thrusting, but more that tearing,
Yeah, I think it definitely would tear. You can see. I'm concerned about how it's going to be carried, and if it's not accessible, it's not usable.
Yeah, no, those were questions we were asking amongst each other. Yeah, Trish, I know you don't have it, but you've seen it. What do you think?
I think it's cute and pretty, but like Whitney was saying before, with it being you want to have multiple uses too. So I could see being able to make modifications to it to perhaps even add something that you can do as a window breaker or glass breaker.
At the end, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know Brian was talking about on a generic version to make a bottle opener. I mean, I don't use those, but I'm sure lots of people would find that interesting, but yeah, for me, it would be more something that would, if I want to carry it around, I know there's talk about having it as like a nail file or some kind of file.
That was
But if it
some
was,
initial thoughts, make it kind of cosmetic looking. We were tossing that around, but we were kind of bouncing back and forth. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I would want to make sure that whatever design it had, it wouldn't destroy anything else that I was carrying with it. If it was with my keys in the bag, I don't want it to destroy my bag and have holes all over my bag. Or if I'm just going to hold it as a ready weapon, I don't want to accidentally stab myself or whatnot. Because half the time I'll be carrying my 70-pound dog leash and dog in his leash.
Yeah, right.
But,
we got a question from.
yeah, manicure kit.
Okay, so Paolo's question is: concealment and retention are important. Are you sacrificing one for the other? Great concealment, poor retention. So, to Arlene, you want to take a crack at it?
So if I will sacrifice one for the other?
Yeah, so his question was concealment and retention are important. Are you sacrificing one for the other? Great concealment, poor retention. Was kind of maybe his example.
I see. For me, the way I think about it is, if I don't have like an ideal weapon,
She
I like being able to carry multiple stuff. So if there's good concealment, then that's something that I would wear wherever,
Yeah,
or
he's
that
and
people
again,
won't know. But then if there's good retention for one, then I'll keep it. That's just how I see it. So that's why maybe I'm not good.
yeah, he's talking in
Oh, about
reference
the
to
hair piece.
the hairpiece. That was my mistake. I
Okay,
didn't
okay,
see.
sorry.
Way to go, Dean.
I'm telling you, huh?
I think for me, on this particular thing, I would just go for the retention for this one.
Retention?
Yeah,
Okay.
retention, because it's so small. I really need it to
Okay.
have that
No,
grip.
no,
Yeah.
no. Whitney, concealment or retention with the hairpiece?
So I think it depends on who we're talking about. If we are talking about women who don't train, or are we talking about us that are typically trained and good to use this type of weapon? So I think that's going to be
specify that context. He just was saying, yeah.
I think you can kind of get a bit of both with this weapon. So obviously retention is important. However, it's not so much concealed as it is hiding in plain sight. It just looks like a hairpin. I'm not trying to hide it like I would a concealed carry where I have to move my shirt or my jacket and then deploy. It's kind of already readily available. If I can practice this at all, almost like a block, then I sort of have it. So I think you can get away with a little bit of both of this one, but if I had to pick, retention.
Okay. To clarify, my concern are those devices being used against you. So if that helps. Trish.
Yeah, okay, that's a good question. And so if someone comes to try to get me from behind, right, this is our typical, attacker choke here, unless they're trained and they're going to just put you in a full Nelson and you're in trouble.
Yeah,
so your typical attacker choke, if they come behind me, I don't know if they would know to pull this out of my hair and use it. If they thought to do so, I would be in trouble.
Yeah, if they saw it or they recognized it, I mean.
Yeah, if they saw it and recognized it, for sure. I can't get to my here when I've got someone behind me. Any other position, I can pretty much keep distance and pull here.
I think so. Yeah, I think the person coming behind you, I mean, one, that's a specific isolation. Two, they have to see it. They have to recognize it for what it is. Yeah, I agree. Trish, any added thoughts to that?
No, retention all the way, 100%. Because if you're, ideally, you can defend yourself with anything. I got my cell phone, I can use that as a blunt impact weapon. So it doesn't have to be a specifically designed sharp object. I want to be able to still hang on to it. So it doesn't matter what it is. Maybe it's an umbrella, maybe it's a rolled up newspaper, but whatever it is, I don't want it to be used against me. So Rich would definitely be the more important of the two.
Okay.
Same thing when you're looking at firearms. I mean, sure, if you can get a smaller gun and carry concealed. Now I'm in Canada, we can't do that anyways, but you're not going to be able to have I don't know. I just think that being able to hang on to your weapon is more important than
no retention. Yeah, no argument there. Okay, if you had to choose, okay, 2-part question. If you had to choose one of the two, what would it be? Tuhon or Arrlene?
Of these two weapons right here, I'll choose this one.
Okay. Whitney?
Hairpin, only because it's I have somewhere I can actually carry it that it's accessible.
Okay. Trish?
Ditto.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess, if you were to suggest these two to a close friend who didn't train like you guys do, which one are you advocating? Tuhon?
Hairpin.
Whitney?
Hairpin.
Trish?
Yep.
Hairpin it is. Okay, no, that helps. That helps.
Modifications to the hairpin, but the hairpin itself, yes.
No. That's what we want to hear. That's what me and Brian defeated.
This is an actual hair. It's a goody hairpin.
What is that?
It's a hairpin. So
Okay.
it's got 2 prongs.
Okay.
Let me see it, and it has this shape like that. So it goes
Looks
in
like a mini version of the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, it goes in like this, and then you flip it. It holds. It's a really good hold.
No kidding.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can modify it and have it longer. But the thing, it goes with the curve of your head.
Gotcha. Okay. Neat. Wow.
So I've seen longer, like Philippines and Hawaii, they have hair picks that look like this, that they're double. You can easily use those, and they have like lots of adornments, so it doesn't have to be the same design, but this is quite discreet and it could fit under a hat.
Yeah. You got like the neatest things.
No, shop your closet of weapons.
I tell you, she's got like the
drugstore stuff. This is $5 for a drugstore.
It's funny. Everybody I talk to, like females, like those I've run into, and I kind of, I'm just curious. What would you, them knowing nothing, like, hey, what would you gravitate towards? And they all chose the hairpin,
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is an awesome weapon, but I think that
I'm not saying it ain't right. No, I agree.
No, but I think that it's an awesome weapon if you're carrying it, and if you know the grip, and you can. This doesn't require any.
I know you just take it out and it's length, it's ready to go. No, I get you. Tuhon Arrlene, is she still with us?
I just saw her drop. I'm sure she's probably trying to come back in.
Yeah. Okay.
Ask if you can sharpen the hairpin.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's a good question though. Maybe if the end got damaged, like would there be? Brian would be able to answer that.
This could be sharp.
Yeah. So hey,
we'll let Brian. Brian, can this be sharpened? If the tip did get damaged, would it be able to be reoriented, like the point and all that? Is there a way? We'll see what Brian comes back with. I don't know if I should answer out or
Metalworks pin that you have.
What's that?
Trish had like a 3-prong.
Oh yeah, from Cold Steel. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you put that sideways and sort of rotate? So my question would be, if Brian could make a hairpin about this size, it might have to be a little bit thicker, and this is a thought to the group, if we could bevel the edges and sharpen the edges, not so much that it's going to cut my hair when I put it in, but enough to give, like you said, if the tip goes out, I've still got
you still have an edge. I get what you're saying. No, that's good point. He's saying, he just messaged back. He's saying that this composite material can be sanded. So
nice.
So Brian would know. I mean, he's yeah. So all right. So that's good to know. God forbid if the tip did get compromised. are broken, whatever, it can be sanded, and a point or tip can be reoriented. Well, that's good to know. Okay, no, thank you on that. Okay, so hairpin it is. Okay, all right, let's go for this. Okay, what I want to do now is, if you guys, okay, again, because I think I truly believe this, a bulk of this stuff has to come from you. If you were the author, all of you, of making a women's self-defense program with the aforementioned of those, we're using women, but obviously it doesn't go across the board for anybody, but context being women that, females that can't actively train. Okay, what would be the key ingredients? What, you're the authors. What would you put in there? Not so much basing on a time frame from like the seminar, but before we get to that, what would be the essential key ingredients? It could be from systems, it could be actual techniques, it could be whatever you guys feel. So we'll get like a piece from each, okay? I think it'll be several pieces, but what I'll do is give me 2 pieces. So Whitney, 2 pieces.
Oh, that's hard to narrow down. I might give you a few more.
No, I'm gonna go around. You can give me more, but just for starters now, give me 2 pieces.
So skipping ahead, if you can't escape or evade, I'm gonna skip ahead of that because
you're in it. I mean, you're in it. You have to. Right? Yeah.
Perfect. I am going to teach gross motor movements, and I am definitely going to teach blocks and strikes to things like eyes, pulling the ears, nose, throat.
Just give me specific context. What strikes? Give me 2 strikes that you would teach them. 2 strikes.
Palm of the hand.
Okay.
Very gross motor movement up to the nose.
Okay.
Pulling or ripping the ears.
Okay.
Thumbs to the eyes. If we're staying from here up, palm, or closed hand like a pocket stick would be my 2 strikes. Palm, closed hand like you have a pocket stick, same strikes in that manner.
Okay, and okay. What would your blocks be? I'm coming with a haymaker.
Absolutely.
What would your blocks be?
Here.
All right, so double forearm out. Okay.
If you can get double, excellent. If you can only get 1, that's fine. The oh shit block, pardon my language, is a perfect block. That's fine. But I'm teaching that you're using your bone versus I'm trying to grab. And then from there, I can grab and control with my C-clamp. Okay. So gross motor movement, forearms.
Okay. Would you guys, just something I want you to think about when I come back around with you, would you ever consider anything helmet oriented, ram's horn? But just think about it. Think about it. Okay. Trish, two things.
A stable base. So if they're standing and somebody's grabbing them and trying to get them somewhere or pushing them, I want them to be able to get low center of gravity and be able to maintain a base without falling over. Because
so they can't be picked up either.
Yeah. So if they lose their balance and they go to ground, it's a completely different game. Mm-hmm. So if they are able to stay on 2 feet and still evade, that's the first step.
So all right, lower their center, drop their okay.
Keep their core. Whitney took my hammer.
That's all right. That's right. That's okay. If we get common,
that's always
nothing wrong with common themes. Nothing wrong with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
To Arrlene, 2 things.
2 only.
No, I'm going to come back around. I mean, not just 2. I mean, I'm going to come back around, but just for starters, give me 2 things.
I would go same thing because it's strong. I would go for
anything
that
kind of that reverse kind of punch oriented.
Using your fist, yeah.
Striking. Okay, so you guys are going where I want you to go. Okay, I mean, see what I'm talking about? All right, Whitney, give me 2 more things.
So I'm going to answer your question first. Would I ever consider like a helmet or a Rams?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Yep.
No, it's fine. You got a lot going on. So yes, almost like a sweep block, or if I'm doing a side block, yes, this is good. But I don't love this or these as much. If you have to, okay. but it kind of pulls the person's head down and removes some situational awareness. Because if you're scared, you're usually going to do this. And then I'm really not engaged in the fight, and I'm not really looking.
Yeah, I would definitely, not looking down. I just,
I'm praying I can get out of it.
Yeah, just wanted to see your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are your 2 more things?
So in a system, it's going to be distance. How can I push off? How can I get away? How can I break a grip to disengage to get away? So evades, anything that I can teach for an evade. So if someone has you in this grip behind you, which should end up being almost like this, that very quick, this is the reaction when you start to get choked. Coming up to here and pulling on the hands, which isn't helpful. You can reach behind you and break the grip of the thumb. So teaching that mechanism, if you can break the grip of the thumb, you can typically escape and evade. And so teaching those gross motor movements, breaking the grip, escape and evade.
Okay. Trish, 2 more things. Could be from any system. It could be from BJJ. It could be from Thai boxing. It could be from Western boxing. It could be from kicking. I mean, 2 more things.
So my background as a judoka is break fall, being able to falling down and protecting your head, keeping your neck tucked in. And there's 2 things. Being able to get up tactically. So if you're down on your back, not to turn over and turn
No, go to your stomach. Right.
Protect yourself, get up, plant.
Long guard.
Back.
Yeah, the long guard posture. Your hand up, basically getting up. To Arrlene, 2 more things.
I agree. A lot of protecting the head specifically.
Yeah, computer gets shut down. You're not gonna be doing anything.
If they can also use the other hand to attack, say, anything that's the soft tissue, eyes, something that they can grab. I have small hands, so I'm more about grabbing ears and stuff like that rather than their big biceps. So if I can cover and reach out and attack the senses, then I would go for that. Okay.
Whitney, anything else?
Yeah, so we talk a lot about, and Trish made a very good point, of the ground, right? And so my husband is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so I've got a lot of stuff from him. And so being able to, if you cannot maintain that long guard, being able to transition to open guard, and then if you cannot, being able to transition to just controlling the perpetrator's hips. If I can control his hips, I can control the fighter. Even if I only get half guard, just learning how to hold on to that, and then, like Tuhon said, push with one hand, attack with another. Being able to hold your ground and maintain and control the fighter's hips if you do get on the ground and they do get past your long guard.
Okay. Trish, anything else you like to add?
Yeah, I mean elbows. Like I using my other hand to brace, because you can use elbows and stuff. But I mean, if I have my other hand and I'm pushing here, it's 10 times more effective. 100. It's just, it makes such a big difference being able to brace with one hand and push back if the guy's behind me or beside me or up. Like I love elbows because my hands are kind of shot, but elbows are my jam.
Okay. No. To Arrlene, anything else?
Biting, pinching, screaming.
Biting for you guys. Biting should be up in top 5. My opinion: punching the throat, gouging the eyes out, biting, grabbing the groin. I mean, you guys are talking gross motor, right? People say kicking. Here's the thing with kicking. And yes, kicking can work. I mean, I don't want people to think I'm getting misconstrued here. But from the lens of a woman who doesn't train kicking, there's a potential being off balance. They're on one leg. They could be disrupted. They could get knocked down. I mean, yes, can kicking work? Of course it can. But again, I'm going, from the context, from the lens of Jet. They're not training kicking. They haven't been kicking a Thai bag or a heavy bag for 6 months. But yes, but kicking, we know. Good shot to the groin, with the instep and all that coming up in the middle is absolutely not pleasant.
Teach kicking on. I do agree with you. I'm not going to teach someone to get off balance to try to kick someone if they're not trained in that. Because Trish made a very 100%.
I'm not going to 100%.
Yeah. But I will teach training kicking in order to maintain your distance if you do end up on your back on the ground.
What would you use for targeting?
Kick as much as you can to keep them away from you. If you're on the ground on your back, keep your distance with that. That's really the only
What kicks would
any form of resistance will actually give you a better chance of surviving.
No, you gotta do right.
Yeah. So
no,
they need to understand that.
No, they have
do
to fight.
whatever
No,
you need to do. Don't give up. Just do whatever you can do, and that would give you a better chance.
Okay, this is what I'm gonna start getting into. But just all right, Whitney, with kicking,
Yes.
what if you were to give them kicks? What would your target areas be? Like, what kicks would you give them? Would you give them the typical front ball kick, side kick to the knee? Like, what would you give them?
So the only, and again, I want to emphasize, the only time I'm discussing kicking with individuals who are new or not training is if they end up on the ground and they need to maintain their distance to get up and get away or keep someone away from them.
Okay.
That, I am telling them, kick as much as you can and as hard as you can. Yes, if you can kick someone's knee, that's excellent. If you can kick their groin, even better. However, don't aim for that because you're not trained for that.
No.
Kick
no,
right. You can as hard as you can. Try to hit these two spots. If not, just keep kicking.
No, okay, all right. So this kind of all right. This is where I'm kind of going, and you guys are, kind of paving the way indirectly, so to speak. Again, all right. I'm going to give you my key ingredients and all that. And to me, some of you guys said it. Thumb to the eyes. To me, punching the throat. You know what I mean? Gross. Everybody says finger jab the eyes. I'm going to tell you something. While the finger jab to the eyes can work, but if you go from the context where I got it from, from JKD, the pendulum step, boom. Okay, sometimes without the training and the heat of the moment, stress and all that, taking this little weapon and then trying to find this little target in the heat of chaos is not going to be easy, So, but the thumbs just boom, punching the throat, biting for you guys. And all that. The kicking, we kind of went over. I think kicking from the ground is quintessential. Side kick when you're in long guard to the knee, the up kick to the face if they're reaching over trying to grab you, the groin, and all that. There's got to be an element of ground in there because if they get knocked off balance, they're going to have to know to recover. And recovery is going to be, in my opinion, long guard, getting up on one elbow, one hand out, legs up so they can't get around past the legs. These are something that would be like my key ingredients and all that. Then I'm just going to be honest, to me, there has to be an equalizer. I just think for those who don't train, I just think this has to be and all that, in my opinion. Whether of course I understand there's definitely the issue and the question mark of comfortability of using it, obviously deployment and all that. And I think those are legitimate concerns and all that. But I look at somebody who maybe weighs 120 pounds, and I'm just thinking that they don't train. Like, how are they going to actively, really give themselves a legitimate chance of survival if they don't have something to equalize? Now, I'm going from the premise they can't run away. Of course, if they can run away, conversation over. But I'm going from the premise of no egress, or God forbid, which we haven't got into yet, ethical. They have to protect loved ones. You know what I mean? So, and again, now I want to kind of go into plan. You know what I mean? Like planning, God forbid, how we can be proactive in planning, in loved ones. Like, do you send the children, hey, look, if I get into something, you guys run, go get help. I don't want you, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So that's kind of, just stuff I've been thinking out on about and all that. But I think a plan with your family is absolutely paramount. If you don't even have a plan, how the heck are you going to even enact anything when, there's chaos and the stress and all that? Of course, stress inoculation, dealing with that, which is a difficult thing too. So based on that, what are your guys' thoughts? Tuhon, what are your initial thoughts?
You said a lot Guru Dean.
I know I said a lot, but you know what? But it is a lot.
It's kind of hard to talk when it's complicated, and I know we're trying our best to delineate the topic. Um, but what if we're gonna simplify? If we're gonna simplify it, um, what do you think? Where are we going?
Yeah, it was a lot, and my apologies.
Sorry,
should
I'm bilingual, so I need to. I'm
Yeah,
processing.
no, and I should have, no. This is fair enough. I did give a lot there, and I should have had more particular context and abbreviated
Because
some
while
of
you
this
were
stuff.
doing that, I was imagining me
Yeah,
and
yeah,
my
yeah,
dad
yeah.
in that situation, and you're asking what are we gonna do, and I'm like,
No.
yeah,
Not
that's
so much
what
for
I'm
you to
gonna
do
do.
is, I guess I'm
Sorry.
thinking from the scratch out the plan because I jumped ahead.
Oh
So
yeah, the plan.
let's leave that out. But I guess from the ingredients that I just kind of off the top and gave you guys. Let's go from there. Let's start with that. Like, what do you guys think of some of the the key elements that have to be involved? And what I listed was basically some of the striking targets. I think long guard from BJJ. I think they have to know how to. I
Oh,
think navigate
so
those
earlier
rails.
we were talking about the ingredients in training. Now we're talking about the ingredients on the time that we're going through it.
Not so
Is
much
that
the
what it
time,
is?
but like again, for like I mean, from coming on, like again, you guys being the authors, I gave you my input. If you guys were to kind of collectively design something and all that, I gave you guys my input. Like, what do you think? And you guys articulated and identify some key things that you would want in there. I gave you some of my things that
Oh,
should be in there.
sorry,
So my question
sorry.
is,
I'm
I guess,
Filipino.
what do you think of that? And no, my fault.
For
I went off on a tangent. So
no,
that's my fault.
for me, really, my ingredients would be here. It's the story. There's the story here. So there's a before, during, and after. So with the before, what is entailed in there, then we describe that. You got your assessment. In uh, life-saving measures, it's the same exact thing. You determine if the scene is safe, right? And then you make a decision to engage. Right now, it seems like the discussion is about you don't have any choice if there's already an engagement. So now we're already on the middle part of the story, which is the intro or what's going on, right? So then within that, there's gonna be your positioning, your footwork, getting out of the attack line. That the footwork is a part of that, and then your generation of power, like where we started earlier, and how you what you need that power for. That's for your striking, making sure
Mm-hmm.
you protect yourself. That will be under blocking, right? If you can combine all of those elements on the intra, then you create a really good formula, because as I'm covering, I'm also trying to get in. I'm making my entries, and here I'm attacking it on an FMA perspective. So
Okay, no.
once I'm over there, the next thing that what they really need to learn is, as I'm getting in, what are my target points? You gotta know where you're going if you have a choice, right? If you're able to see, definitely you're able to see something, because there's an attack coming in. You will see a space, or you'll be in a space. So then I go in, right? Now, am I gonna use only my hands? Can I use my legs? Am I able to do that?
Well, we
Can I,
identified that you
right?
guys thought the eyes were good, like thumb to the eyes and all that. So let's go with,
What's so if you determine, for me, when I'm teaching, I guess I'm gonna adapt it on that level where I'm teaching, because even if we say the eyes, you can't target for the eyes. It's only the eyes if it's there. So then you give them options where, if you say, okay, these are the target points that you can possibly attack, and here are the techniques that you can use. So then they know how to manipulate, right? So then from there, if that is available, then I go for it. If the ear is there and he faced this way and the ear is right there, I'm gonna.
no
No, I'm
opportunity.
just telling the story, which is,
Yeah.
if it's there, they need to understand, because sometimes some people, again, some people here are experts, so they don't know what a beginner feels like. And for a beginner, sometimes when you say these are the target points, they end up looking for those points. And guess what? They're not available when somebody's attacking them. They don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say that, okay, here are the target points, but it will present itself. So if it's not available, you gotta go for the next one. And there's the block in the neuronal system. That's what's happening sometimes with the people. Yeah, it's either they freeze, but the other thing is they're unable to identify that opening or the presentation of a good target point. So no matter how much we train people, if they're not understanding that it comes and goes, it's not something that's static, that they will see and that they can go for, then that's my interest story. And then on the end, what we mean my finishing, what are the ways to where if I position myself correctly and say I was able to either surprise somebody, that's where the suggestion of exit comes in, if it's available, or if not, if you gotta finish, if I have my weapon, if I can deploy my weapon, say I wasn't able to deploy it initially and then I found an opportunity, then I deploy my weapon and do my finishing. So that's my story and that's how I approach it. I cannot, it's hard for me, and that's why I was imagining while you were
no, I got
because to me it's a full thing. This is one like full length movie in my head rather than this one thing that can answer all problems.
Yeah, no. Understood. I mean, understood. All that. But who are we? Whitney.
Okay.
What's you?
So I'm going to try to be succinct in what these look like. There's obviously more depth to all of these. So there's my caveat. So very similar to Tuhon, I believe that self-defense is both pre, trans, and post. So pre, we talk about that mindset. We talk about if you identify something, exiting early, leaving early, knowing where you are, knowing your exits are, and really getting individuals in that mindset of you need to pay attention and you need to be ready, right? Know where your weapon is, know where your kit is, be able to grab it without having to look. All of that we've discussed and more. Trans or during an attack, I talk about different spaces or different links of space away from an attacker, right? So I've got different ranges. That's what I'm looking for. Long, medium, and short for general terms if you're teaching. And I want to try to have everyone keep that long range as much as possible and all the things that go along with that. And every time I talk about this, you always continue to inject escape and evade when you can, escape and evade when you can. All of this is to escape and evade. If you can, if you have to protect your pride, your tribe or your family, that's a different story. Then we're in the fight and we need to move to post, which is finish. So when we get to short range, we're going to look at blocks, evades, getting offline from an attack, that one step to get offline and to protect myself. And then how do I either counter strike or be in the mindset to be able to preemptive strike? I recognize this is a threat. I do not have to wait for someone to attack me for it to be self-defense. And making sure that they understand that. I was reasonably certain and I felt threatened for my life or the life of my family. Training that, knowing that, and being able to make a decision that you are ethically and morally okay with to protect yourself and your family even prior to them attacking you, because you know it's coming. So we're there. We've got blocks. We've got evades. We've got getting offline. We've got keeping our distance. We've got our workspace. If we cannot keep our distance, what does that workspace look like? What tools am I comfortable with in that workspace? And we talk gross motor movement. Blocks, I'm going to control if I can. And then for strikes, we talk about these large X's. I really, really, really like pocket stick, but if you don't have it, it is the same concept. I can train open hand or pocket stick just like this. I've got X's for my circles. I've got collarbones. I've got the neck. And then we go from head to toe. I've got eyes. I've got the bridge of the nose or an upper shot to the nose, which would completely crush that. Rip off the ears like Tuhon was talking about. I really love that. The palm strike up to the chin, the throat, and then I go groin, knees if you can, if they're kind of a little bit more advanced, and then feet. Women have on stilettos, and if they can stomp on that foot, that's excellent. But that's really what we teach. And then once you are in trans, once you're in the middle of that, we try to continue to teach, get around to the back, get distance, like Tuhon was saying. So if you do have a weapon, you can employ it, or you can get space to get back out of that short range. I don't want to stay in my medium or short range and fight. My intention is always to get back out so that I can finish. And then it's trans, right? Pre, post, and trans. Trans, I am finishing the fight like Tuhon said. If I cannot leave, which is always my first option, if I have to stay and fight, I have to be mentally ready. That's our phase 1 pre. And I have to be physically ready with at least 1 or 2 moves. How am I going to finish this fight from standing and from the ground? How am I going to finish this? And I have to be okay doing that.
No, yeah. Okay. Trish, sorry we took so long. So,
so much good material there. I mean, I can't really add more to the technical stuff because we've talked about a lot. But one thing that, coming from my background as a former police officer, is to be able to articulate your actions, because if that hairpin ends up in that guy's eye and you make brain mush, you need to give a reason why you did that, because you were afraid for your life. And if you can use your voice, like, first up, stay back, don't follow me, go away. Make sure you've got witnesses around you. So, yeah, that little 5'4" Asian girl was telling that guy to back off and stay away and stop following her. Like, that's going to add to the evidence in court, because when just like that attack in San Francisco, that old lady put that man.
Everything that all over social media there. Yeah.
But I mean, so when the bad guy goes to the hospital, if you also need to keep your mind and your emotions in check and make sure that, okay, I accidentally knocked this guy unconscious. Okay, now if I go and curb stomp him and I kill him, that's force. So then that's going to come back on me. So you need to be able to have the mindset, yes, to protect yourself and to defend yourself, but also not to go overboard. Know when enough is enough. You need to stop the threat and then you're not going to try and do a victory dance and get the medal.
No, and you guys, like, from the point of legality, you guys have such an easier time with that than us. Like, if I were to go overboard or would be construed as kind of like overkill or whatever, man, in my state, I'm gonna have some like serious explaining to do. Especially like if they didn't like break into my house, like if it was in a parking lot or something like that. And with everybody taking videos these days, and it showed how I didn't even like at least attempt to like diffuse or anything like that. I just went from like 0 to 10, and then they find out your background. I mean, man, I'm the one that's going to be like, obviously depending on some of the factors and all that, but I just know, like, in some states here, if they're more on the liberal side, man, it could be you who's going to end up like explaining, like, what I mean, even though maybe the initial attack was on you or the threat, but if you go like extreme, you know what I mean, and it's videoed and you can't like, give, like validate like why you went to that level or extremity. I mean, I don't know. That's a good point. Like, being able to articulate, your rationale. I think you guys are such a better place, than someone like, like the guys, for instance. I just want to just check here. Oh, go ahead, Whitney. I'm just checking for questions. Go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the things that I don't think we've discussed, but I think that it's important, is a deterrent, right? So one of the things that we talk about preemptive, we talk about situational awareness, and it's also important to teach what you can do to make yourself less of a target, which is terrible to say. It should not be like that. And I wish that I could affect the other end. I wish I could affect attackers' mentality and affect them not doing those things, but I can't. What I know is my end. And so with that, it's terrible to say, but I want females or other individuals to be able to provide a deterrent, right? So to not make themselves look like an easy target. And some of the easy things you can do for that is not being on your phone when you're walking. So if you're walking from a restaurant to your car, if you're walking home at night, don't be looking at your phone. Put things away. Have your hands ready. Don't have your hands full of stuff. Have your hands ready. Take your headphones out. Absolutely, Trish. So that you are available. I also fully believe in a canine. Doesn't have to be trained. It doesn't have to be. Children are right. It doesn't have to be any kind of attack dog. But if you are walking by yourself versus you are walking with specifically a larger dog, even a medium-sized dog, it's going to be a little bit more of a calculus for that individual. Does that dog bite? Am I going to deal with that? What do I do if that dog runs off and that they can be found and tied to this person? Just giving them one less reason to choose you as a target is something you can do proactively on your end.
Yeah. Let me just make here. Do men really have? Yes. Per in our state, I think it varies from state, Paulo, but the more liberal states, like obviously in Texas, is very different from Connecticut, as far as like, what you do, how far or to extreme you go in defending yourself. Again, assuming that it was recorded. Are criminal courts really friendlier to women? I think so, from what I've heard, just talking to a couple attorney friends and ones who Tom Sotis, a conversation with him from Amok, he had some experience of that in some of the stories he shared with me. But I think it really differs from state to state. Again, Texas, I use Texas because of of what they can get are allowed to do down there and all that, as far as they can get away with, or maybe that's not the best way to put it, but might be good to explore. Yeah. And there it gets up. Okay, I don't think I missed any questions. Oh, wait, I did. Wait. I'm sorry. How about teaching fence concepts and preemptive? Yes, I'm a huge component of the whole fence and all that. Yeah, and preemptive strikes, which they kind of made some mention here, the ladies, and all that. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions because usually I make a point to check over here, but I kind of lost track. And I think we're good. Yeah, I don't think I missed anything. Okay. All right, so because we're running, oof, man, time flies when you're having fun. So just again, yeah, so much, again, when I entered this conversation right from the get-go, like this is new territory. I think it's just something that's worth like really looking into, like just, again, from the context that I kind of established in the beginning, but, but not necessarily clearly having answers. You know what I mean? Like I have ideas and all that. And this is why I wanted to get you guys on just to see what your thoughts were, not only just from experience, but just, being in the community, you guys talking with others and what you think and all that. So, and I agree with a lot of you guys. The whole thing on the weapons, I think it's so true. I think it's going to really vary to like what the comfortability, like what they're willing to do, I guess, based on their temperament, you know what I mean, who they are, with their values, what are their value system? Maybe their value system is not going to allow for them to brandish a weapon. I don't know. Just taking all these things into consideration. And all that. I just feel though, I am adamant though. I just think there is some key stuff that needs to be in there. And one of the things, of course, they fall if they get to the ground, like they have to have like a sense of long guard. You know what I mean? Otherwise, they're just going to get freaking just annihilated because they're just going to walk through their legs. You know what I mean? There's going to be basically no stop. You know what I mean, so to speak. And obviously you guys, the gross motor skills, I totally agree with, the targeting, vitals, the eyes, the ears, whatever's presented, based on changing the chaos, and all that. And then of course, weapon, you know what I mean? Those who are comfortable of deploying one and using it, but that seems to be, I don't know, there seems to be some question marks on that and all that. And so, I appreciate you guys coming on. This is, kind of not necessarily going back to the drawing board per se, but definitely new things to think about in lieu of, getting you guys on here, and which is what, that was the goal here. You know what I mean? Kind of present, see where it is, get some feedback, from people who made comments and kind of compile and all that. So with that, like, I guess closing thoughts. Tuhon, Arrlene, closing thoughts? What do you think?
For the women, if there are women out there, I know there's more men watching right now, but if there are women watching out there, it's really important to train. It's worth your time for sure because this is about your life and also if you would like to protect your children. there's more to it than, there's no magic potion. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I don't have any
No
good
Cliff Note
news.
version. Yeah, I get you.
Violence is ugly, and it will lower your morale before, during, and after. Okay, there's no escape to, once you become a victim of that. It will be a process. So it's also a process even if you're not going through it. So there's no escaping that. Hopefully that there will be some strategies, for you to at least do basic striking. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube right now that you can learn from. Of course, there are some bad stuff out there, but I'm just gonna say, if you really don't have a choice, just go and learn something. So yeah, that's it. And thank you for inviting us. It's a
Oh no,
good
my God! I
discussion.
thank you guys for coming on. Are you kidding
It's
me?
tough because we can't go really deep into
No,
some other
but no, I
details of the
wanted.
discussion, but
Yeah.
but it's a good start. It's a good
No,
start.
no. My goal tonight was a broad lens. Like I, put a bunch of stuff out there and just see where it went. And when I mentioned in the beginning, like this is new territory, meaning like literally new territory. That A, I haven't addressed this yet. B, I'm thinking of a plan, and C, I haven't run it by anybody. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I appreciate you guys doing that and all in that. So it was, I thought a lot of good stuff came out. And you guys obviously not just identifying the hairpin as a weapon of choice, but just other stuff far as that you guys gave. Trish, what are your closing thoughts?
Just whoever you are engaging to teach or to invite to a seminar or a class, is just have them be honest with the realities of their life, like what honestly afford to pay. Can they pay for classes? If not, then what are some budget conscious options that realistically that they can take? What about their time that they can dedicate to training? If they don't have time, then be realistic with how much they can retain, and just give them very simple homework. This is simple. Keep it simple. And yeah, just to get into that mindset. The mindset is really important.
Yeah, it has to be simple, right? It can't be complex, because the audience that I'm kind of thinking of is one who are not dedicating time. Yeah, in the perfect world, man, yeah, they should train. I totally agree. They should, absolutely. I mean, be in charge of their own destiny. I'm 100% with you guys. But those who can't, it has to be simple. It can't be complex, because they don't have time to train it. You know what I mean? So they're you know what I mean? So yeah, this is it's a difficult thing to tackle. You know what I mean? And which has been somewhat a little more amplified with talking to you guys. But that's why I wanted to know. I mean, I want the truth of this. I want to see it. Is this doable? Is this manageable? Is it, or is it not? You know what I mean? I'm not looking for an answer. I'm looking for the truthful answer. Just because I have ideas doesn't mean that they're going to be good or it's going to take off.
Arrlene had a really good point. For me, at least, it was really hard to establish a class that I can invite women to and come to. It's just not consistent. It's hard. Like, I can do a workshop, but I can't.
No, women's thing, a class. I mean, I can't. I mean, look at adult men. They're not even consistent. How you gonna? I mean, yeah, no. That's what I mean. This is what I mean. Like, all these things put into all these ingredients. Yeah, it's difficult. Whitney, what are your closing thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've done a pretty good job on the recap portion, right? It has to be simple. It has to be gross motor movements. People have to train if we're going to teach them anything. So I think that both Tricia and Tuhon covered that really well. So I'm going to forego that. To kind of caveat one of your answers, I think it is doable, right? And I think that we can talk that in the way forward. But in general, my thoughts on the entire thing. One, thank you for having discussion. Thank you for putting it together and inviting women to talk about a very needed subject. We see crime going up, crime against women, crime against like just recently Asian individuals. So I don't think that it is specific to women. I think it's specific to this discussion itself. Individuals who don't train.
Yeah, right. I think I use females. I mean, just for a lens, I guess, to try to get maybe some particular, but yeah, but again, this
You're right.
goes
There are
across the board.
differences.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree, Rudy. There are differences, and a lot of times it's size, and it's weight, and it's not all men have a hair bone that they can carry this amazing tool in, right? So there absolutely are differences, but a lot of it also carries over. And then lastly, for the way forward, right? You said if we were to publish or if we were to write a curriculum, or we were to write the book, I think that is a good idea. I think there are enough female practitioners who know their own niche that a combined curriculum or book that could be published for basic self-defense. This is what you need to know. This is your mindset. I think we've talked it pre, post, and trans mindset during the fight and what those distances look like, being able to finish, being able to articulate. And then what I think that we also need to always discuss when we're talking violence is mental health and mental resiliency. If you do end up having to finish a fight, so post-violence, right? And it doesn't have to be you have PTSD, and it doesn't have to be any of those labels. But post-violence, being able to circle back around and do a self-assessment and check. Are you okay? If not, here are your resources. Here's how you kind of look and assess yourself to get back in the fight.
That's excellent.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to my clubs, Dr. Moses Sal, for empowering me as a woman in FMA to allow me to do these things and really kind of push the art. I think that we all three are pushing the art and are really growing the art as we should, because FMA is so important.
No, you guys, you ladies are top notch. It wasn't a coincidence I got you three on. You know what I mean? Believe me, I could have. I mean, you guys are handpicked. I have the utmost respect for each and one of you. I think you guys are just top notch, and and all that. But here's what you guys should do. The three of you should you three should collaborate together and make a manifest of sorts on women's self-defense. The three of you guys seriously think about it. The three of you pulling yourselves together, your resources, your experiences, and all that, because I firmly believe this. It has to come. There has to be a strong element that's got to come from you guys. I don't think it's fair for the guys to sit back and say like, well, this is going to be the program. This is going to be the way. No, and the key thing and why I believe that what came out of this was the reluctancy that some might not deploy a weapon. You know what I mean? Based on their value systems, based on their comfortability and all that. So but you three, what do you think? Would you three consider that? You three getting together and putting something together?
It'd be an honor.
To Arrlene, you're not saying anything. What do you think?
Yeah.
Would you do it?
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
But I think that I would consider it only with as I think we all would, help and guidance and input from the entire community. I think from our lens and from our voice.
Well, you can consider right here. I would help you guys any shape, way, or form. I would,
awesome.
That's that's a given. That I mean, that's in stone. So whatever you needed, like if I would absolutely. But I think that would be really neat if you three collectively. Would you guys do it? I mean, what do you think? Oh, I mean, would you guys?
I would absolutely do it. I think there's a gap in the market.
Come on, Arrlene, you're giggling, but you're not saying anything. Arrlene.
No, I said I would.
Okay. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
Right now, I'm visual, so I'm visualizing like the last.
She's already writing it.
Yeah, I'm visualizing already. The last one would be DIY tools, something we can kind of make, right? And then have some,
So here's
weapons that we can carry.
Like I think, and this is just I'm being purely suggestive here, that you guys to get together in Zoom, you create an outline, you have your distance awareness, deployment to back them off, maybe, I'm just thinking out loud. Obviously, you got the terrible middle game, and then the end game. And so if you guys made an outline, you guys could actually, I think that, I don't know, I think it would be absolutely super if you guys did something like that for the women's community. I think that would just be I don't know. I think you guys should do it. You know, I'm gonna check with you guys. Matter of fact, I'm gonna stay on you guys. I'm gonna send you like a group message. Hey, did you guys meet? Do your outline?
I think it's a good idea. We'll get
Is
together.
it show and tell now? No.
Right, yeah. We all have homework. Great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What is that thing?
Tuhon, that is awesome.
Can I see that again?
Yeah.
What is that?
This
Is it a
one,
multi-tool?
I can
It's
bring
archaic.
it to the airport.
What
It,
Oh,
it
Wow.
has bottle opener. It has for your seatbelt. It has one for the oxygen tank for EMT and
My
medics.
goodness.
But
That thing is, jeez.
you can
I've never seen anything like that, or the thing that you had, Trish.
yeah, I know the owner. Shuki
Okay.
knife. And like I said, this is TSA approved.
Wow.
And you got a hammer too. You can
Index.
what do you call it for the window, for the
Breaker.
glass breaker?
No.
Yeah. Okay, glass breaker. Okay.
And then for the wire cutter right here.
Wire. Yeah. Was it seatbelt cutter as well, or no, or
Yeah,
just a
right
wire
here.
cutter?
Does it
Oh,
watch?
okay.
Right
do
here.
Wow, that's excellent. Huh.
It's the book that we're writing of my favorite tools. Each of us come with our favorite tools, and here's where you get them, and here's what they do. And yes, yeah.
Trisha's got the Pac-Man. Yeah.
Okay, Dean, thank you so very much. This has
Hey,
been an
also-
absolute pleasure.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. Tuhon, Arrlene, Patrick Chris wants to know what that is, and do you have a link to that?
Yes.
Okay, so Patrick, maybe PM.
I'll
Okay.
I'll text it to all of you.
Oh, okay.
The maker is really nice. He trains just like what Trish is saying. He trains people on how to use it.
Yeah, so
He has a
okay.
video.
He's just on a maker. I gotcha. Okay. Well, guys, again, this has been absolutely wonderful. I appreciate you coming on. Oh, wait a minute, we got another toy. Well, that's the
Come on, Trish. Whitney, join me.
Yeah,
That's-
I have
Pistol knife.
kind of here. My last tool tonight is putting my children to bed. So
yeah. Okay. No, we got to let Whitney. All right, last thing, Trish. Your last. What the heck?
I made it, girl, Dean. I made the whip.
nice. If I knew, I would have brought all
I
of
made
my.
it. You want to see my
And
brain?
folks, on that note, we will be. What is that?
It's a dog ball chucker, but it's expandable.
Whoa.
Nice.
Where are you guys getting this stuff from?
This is for my dog.
Oh my God, we got a whip on the bottom left, and on the top right, we got an extended ball thrower. Well, I'm just waiting for Whitney now to pull out something completely.
So
Hidden in her
my
bookshelf.
downstairs, but I have usually everything has two uses. We have huli tools, we have all of our Gerbers, we have all of our seatbelt cutters. Our asp, which is about this big, and you can expand it. Plenty of toys, but we will do Sisterhood of the Traveling Weapons, and just share weapons.
Hey, to Arrlene, when I was with Seox, I used to do the whip a lot, and it was so much fun. It was so. I mean, I haven't picked one up in it's been 15 years. However, though, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. This is 5 foot, and I braided it.
Good for you. And you made that?
Yeah, I did. But it's not
I
perfect.
know what I
yet.
want for Christmas.
It's not perfect yet, but
Yeah,
the braid
but
is
still,
fine.
you
But
did it. I mean, you made it.
it cracks too.
Awesome. Woohoo!
That's awesome. You might. I tell you, if you make those and they come out well, you could have a little side gig there. I'd buy one. It's something I would like to get into. It's one of those things I was doing. Then you put it down, you forget about it, and because you're doing something else, and then you run into it one day. Hey, I haven't done this in 15 years. But oh my goodness,
Can you hear it?
what is that?
It has a sound.
It's amazing. I'm gonna talk about a lightsaber if we
Oh
don't
my
stop.
God! You know what's going to happen?
Whitney was talking about deterrent. There
As a
you go.
result of episode 119, Dean's show will now be canceled due to the. Wow, that really neat stuff. Please, Tuhon, I really want to know about that whip. Let me know how that works out. Seriously.
This one? Oh, what do you mean?
Yeah,
You wanna
yeah.
know how
It's
it
something
works
I would
out?
probably like to get back into.
Oh,
I can't even find mine now. I bought it back 20 years ago from Sayok. Two of the tails got ripped off, so I only had one tail. So the cracking of it, the auditory was gone.
show me. I might be able to fix it
That's fine.
later.
Yeah, no, I would like because I'm
Text it
telling
to
you,
me.
I would like to get back into that.
I'm not an expert, but like I said, I might be able to fix it.
Either was I. I just went out in the yard and just
Yeah.
tried not to hit myself in the legs or the back, and that was a chore in itself in the beginning. You know? Ah! But all right, guys, it was a pleasure. I thank you so much. I hope I didn't keep you too long from the, where,
Yes, you did. You
you
did.
know.
But it's all right. It was fun.
But it was important. It's an important discussion, so it was worth the time.
All right, well, here it goes. You guys you get your free Jello get a gel card. You can just blame me, okay? So
Girls' night out.
Yeah, this is the best girls' night.
But you know, it's
Really
what's
good.
also the best are the people who are still watching up to this point. So thank you so
No,
much for
no,
staying with us.
which makes me wonder, should I just do pre and post shows, forget the middle content? Oh my goodness. All right, you all. I really appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you so much. This really helped far as like directionality and all, but really I think you guys gotta do it. I'm gonna check up on you guys. I'm gonna say, hey, did you guys meet? Did you guys come up with an outline? I'm gonna do it. So you guys better
Sir,
Well,
you guys better do it.
you're not off the hook for this. You're in this group effort
No,
now.
no, no. I would be honored to still be part of it. I truly would be.
Excellent.
However, though, I think it'd be really neat if it just came for you. But I would be absolutely honored to be inclusive. Really, really.
You'd be
So,
one.
We'll get it together.
all right. Well, I'm gonna follow up on it, and
Okay.
I will too, man. Believe me, I'm persistent, man. I'm telling you, you won't. Hello, you guys get your outline. All right, guys. You guys take care.
Thank you so much.
Good night,
Absolutely.
everyone.
Absolutely.
everyone.
Thank you. Take care. All right. Good night.
Take care. Stay out of trouble.
Just blame me if you guys are in trouble. All right.
Canceled. Okay.
All right, all. Thank you all that watched. That was good. Definitely it's gonna be a little more difficult undertaking than, but hey, that's how you find out. You gotta get other people on there, get their thoughts, see where it goes, right? Sometimes there's just no other way. Anyhow, what's coming up? Raffle Sunday. Actually, Paulo, Brian, I'm gonna need pictures for the raffle. There's gonna be a raffle for Renee Thompson. He's got some a great organization, charity over there for kids, doing FMA. Just absolutely fantastic what he's doing. And so basically this would give him money to buy more gear for kids and all that. And that's good. So we're going to start the raffle Sunday. Some incredible items that were donated to Paulo. Brian's is making a sword, a Ganuting with a handle, I believe, if I'm correct in that. So a really, really good cause. I think the raffle tickets are going to be like $10, if I'm not mistaken. The raffle is going to go for 2 weeks, starting this Sunday, and 2 weeks from there. So yeah, please consider that. But again, I'm going to get pictures of those guys. I'll post it in FMA discussion, and that's where it's going to go. And also, those who are watching, if you haven't hit subscribe to FMA discussion on YouTube. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, the goal is that whatever money is made will automatically go to charitable donations in the Philippines and all that. So it's yeah, if you guys can do that, that would be wonderful. Yes, Paulo, again, he's got a Bassinelli knife and a scallywag, scary two-handed sword. Just, yeah, bad news, but beautifully made and all that. So again, look out for that raffle and that charitable thing for against GM Renee and his organization there that are helping kids. Wonderful what he's doing there. Anything to do with kids, I think is just absolutely wonderful. So. And who is coming next Tuesday? Tuhon Belton will be on, and that will be Tuesday night, and all that. So look out for that. All right, folks. Have a good night, and thank you for all those who commented, submitted questions, and all that. Take care.